The other category of African leaders are those who fear. They fear that what this young man and his compatriots are doing is setting a bad example, and I must now look very keenly at what my young men and women in the army are doing. They can't sleep because they fear that they themselves can meet the fate of those who are removed by Traoré.
Reports from across global media have once again placed the Burkina Faso president at the center of international attention. But behold the headlines. There is a growing concern for his personal security. Prominent Pan-Africanist and legal scholar Plo LUMUMBA has alleged that there are active plots to eliminate Traoré. According to Lumumba, individuals and networks, both international and external, are said to be working to destabilize the Burkina Faso leadership. He claims that monetary inducements have even been offered to those close to the president in an attempt to compromise his safety.
Truth, it can't be said there is a new scramble for Africa. In this harsh world where the European powers, former colonizers, are losing their territory and influence one by one. In this harsh world where the Western countries, the conceptual West, believe that they are losing their territories to Russia and China. To be a friend of Russia is to invite enemies from the West. And that is why you see, using even African institutions, they threaten Burkina Faso, they threaten Mali, they threaten Niger, using different methods. They try to ensure that they drain water out of your pond so that you cannot survive. So in the short to medium term, it is going to be a difficult time. Difficult because they'll try to choke you. They'll try to ensure that they create an environment where your people rise up against you. They'll try to ensure that there is dissatisfaction. So going forward, what I would myself suggest is that the engagement be structured and be beyond human beings. Human beings can only exist for so long. But in order to ensure that friendship is guaranteed, the friendship between Burkina Faso and Russia must look beyond Traoré and beyond Putin. And that can be done by ensuring that the engagements are of mutual strategic interest for the countries, so that if it is in agriculture, if it is in the mining sector, if it is in tourism, if it is military, then those structures are put in place, and 100 years from today, holding all factors constant, they can survive those who entered into them as agreements. You know, when Traoré came to power, and let us retrace the history again, that he came to power after Compaoré had been removed and had sought asylum outside of the country, I think in La Côte d'Ivoire. He came to power after Jean-Marc Christian Kabore's administration had been taken away. He came to power after Damiba had been taken away. And when he came and he appeared to be relieving and reviving what I call the Sankaraist philosophy, he became an immediate enemy of Paris, led by Macron. And Macron, you see, has carried himself almost as the latter-day Napoleon Bonaparte. To the extent that he has done so, anybody who is not towing the line, Macron, I think, sees himself, and this is subject to debate, not only as Napoleon Bonaparte, but also as Charles de Gaulle. And in that regard, he believes that the territories which were colonized by them must behave. Remember in 1958, after the yes-no vote, in which case only Secretary of Guinea voted no, they used to refer to former French colonies as territoire d'outre-mer. These are our foreign territories in the distant land. So when you break loose, as Burkina did, says, what is happening here? Who do they think they are? Do they think they can withstand France? So it is personal anger. It is ego that has been hurt, and that can be dangerous. Hence, the reaction that you see from Paris. In other words, from the standpoint of Paris, Ibrahim Traoré and his compatriots are giving a bad example to otherwise good boys and girls. When you look at Traoré and Burkina Faso now, I think there are four categories of people when you look at how they are dealing with the Traoré. There is category number one of leaders who are wedded to their colonizers, who think, oh, this young man, we've seen many like him, he's just a flash in the pan, he'll come and go. That is category number one. And I'm sure they tell their masters in the West, we have seen many, didn't we see Sankara, didn't we see Lumumba, didn't we see Nkrumah, didn't we see Machel? Category number one. Category number two are those who are saying, I wish it was me who was getting this kind of adulation. What could I have done in order to ensure that my name is emblazoned on every other media? Those are actuated by ego and malice and envy and jealousy. That is another category of African leaders. The other category of African leaders are those who fear. They fear that what this young man and his compatriots are doing is setting a bad example, and I must now look very keenly at what my young men and women in the army are doing. They can't sleep because they fear that they themselves can meet the fate of those who are removed by Traoré. So they fear in that regard. Then there is the fourth.
You are going to lose. You are going to miss out on the opportunity that you have been waiting for, and it will be a regret. By not taking action to
positive category, they are few and far between. They are the ones who say, yes, these things we call unconstitutional changes of power, this is not unconstitutional change of power. This is rebellion, and not just rebellion, this is revolution. And they are saying, let us not ostracize these young men and women. They actually represent a new generation of Africans who are impatient, who feel let down. Let us support them. One of them who is emerging in that category is my very good friend, John Dramani Mahama of Ghana, who upon returning to power in Ghana told the ECOWAS leaders, we must engage the Sahelians. And he's been to Ouagadougou, he's been to Bamako, he's been to Niamey. They are saying that this situation is a clarion call to the entire continent of Africa, that if we don't change for the better, then we will be eliminated. So when you look at the situation in Burkina Faso, those are the four forces that are operating within the African continent. Then there is a fifth force from outside of the continent. This is France. These young people are making us to lose our spheres of influence. They think they are going to make something to work in Burkina Faso. We will not allow it. What we are going to do is to cause and support insurgency so that if there is no total breakdown of law and order in those countries, then there will be a civil war. And I can tell you, they are doing everything in their power, covertly and overtly, to undermine those administrations. And I have no doubt in my mind that on a daily basis, they have individuals in their intelligence community asking, how can we eliminate him? Can we eliminate him by poisoning his toothpaste like we tried before with other people? What do we use? On a daily basis, they are planning. In 1965, Nkrumah gave an iconic speech. He said that it is the duty of the military to support the government in power and the duty of the military not to be involved in politics. But if it becomes necessary for the military to get involved in politics, it should only be for a short time as justified by necessity, and then they must go back to their military duties. In other words, even the Osagie for Kwame Nkrumah himself, who unfortunately ended up being a victim of a military coup, did appreciate that there may be circumstances in which it can become necessary. In Africa, why is it becoming necessary? It is becoming necessary because those who are in office have perfected the art of sustaining themselves in power by manipulating the ballot. You know, there are 55 African countries, 54 recognized internationally. 40 of those countries print their ballots outside of the continent of Africa. And there is evidence in the cases of some of these countries that ballots are actually pre-marked in favor of certain candidates. So you can wake up all you want very early in the morning. But as was said by one leader many years ago, it is not those who vote that matter, but those who count the votes.
This is not the first time President Traoré administration has faced security turbulence. Since seizing power in 2022, he has survived coup attempts and increasing insurgents attacks, raising fears of deeper conspiracies. While no independent sources have yet confirmed Lumumba's latest allegations, they have sparked serious debate among analysts and citizens alike. The big question is, will those allegedly planning to eliminate Traoré succeed in their mission? Or will President's strong domestic support and tightened security measures shield him from harm? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe these threats are real? And do you think the planners will succeed? Share your opinion with us in the comments section.